Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
It's 9 minutes before 8. We'll return to our conversation about the sentencing of the former police officer and rapist in a moment. But coming up in the next hour, we'll have full coverage of the mini reshuffle, or the change that was brought in by the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak yesterday, and the arrival of some new departments, and I'll explaining what they do. But to get some background, let's turn to Conservative MP and now new Chairman of the Conservative Party, Greg Hands, who joins me now. Well, first up, congratulations, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for coming on the show. What's top of your to-do list? Good morning.
Well, I think top of my to-do list, Nick, is getting the party ready for local elections this year and a general election next year. That is quite a big to-do list. I think we're going to be in a good shape. Obviously, the Conservative Party had a difficult year last year, but we're coming out of that under Rishi Sunak's leadership. I think we'll be in a good position going forward.
Just to clarify, the general election then will be next year.
Well, I can't see circumstances where it would be this year in 2023. Obviously, constitutionally, it is possible to have a general election this year, but I think the expectation is it will be in 2024.
Well, of course, Professor Sir John Curtis told us yesterday, constitutionally, you could actually go until January 2025. So I guess I surmised from our conversation we're looking at the autumn of 2024.
Well, I mean, it's not my job, Nick, to predict as precisely as that. I think John is correct. It is theoretically possible to have a January 2025 election. I personally think that is unlikely. That would be like a Christmas, New Year campaign. I don't know about you. I'm not sure I'd want to see party political canvassers on my doorstep on Christmas Day or on Boxing Day. I'm not sure that would quite be the festive thing at that time.
So I think we're saying 18 months. Let's close this part of our conversation down, Chairman. We're saying 18 months. That's correct, isn't it?
Well, I think there's a range of options, obviously, and that will be looked at close to the time. But look, the strong expectation, Nick, would be 2024.
Let's move on to other matters. We have, I think, new government departments: science, innovation and technology, energy security and net zero. I won't run through all of them. Can you explain a little of what the thinking is behind that, Chairman?
Yeah, I think it allows Rishi Sunak, the government, to show a sharper focus on the issues that matter to the country long term. How do you secure Britain's long-term competitiveness? And I think in particular, looking at energy security, net zero, our climate change obligations, that is a very, very important part of the government agenda. Also, the Science and Technology and Innovation Department, that is where Britain is going to be long-term competitive, is making sure that we're up to date with the very latest technology innovation, making sure we've got the skills in place to do that. It's looking at the long-term future of the country.
Now, one organisation, the Institute for Government, has suggested the establishment of these new departments will cost the taxpayers £100 million. I don't need to tell you at this time many people are having to watch the pounds and the pence. Is it appropriate to spend £100 million, Mr. Chairman?
Well, I think, Nick, we always have to be careful, extremely careful with public money and making sure that it's well spent. The last time there was what's called a machinery of government change, was in 2016, now some 7 years ago. I think it is right that these things happen from time to time. And here I think the objective is to secure the long-term interests of the country, with particular emphasis on things like energy security, science and technology. Those are the things that will really matter to making a difference to Britain's competitiveness internationally going forward in the coming decades. So I think it's the right thing to do, it's the right decision.
Can I just put it to you, Mr. Chairman, that many of my listeners who are perhaps struggling with their energy bills, frightened about their mortgages going up, when they hear that more politicians will be elevated to senior roles, as is appropriate, of course, by creating 4 new departments at £100 million, they're going to suggest you're out of touch. Not you. The party, the government is out of touch.
Well, I don't think that's right. I mean,
you honestly don't think someone who's can't pay their mortgage is going to think £100 million to create a few more secretaries of state and ministers? You don't think that's a little out of touch, Mr. Chairman?
Well, I think what people want to see is the government getting the decisions right for the long term. And you rightly mentioned energy and the short-term price pressures on energy, which we've all been feeling since Vladimir Putin's illegal invasion of Ukraine. But what people also want us to do is to make sure we've got energy security in the long term, to make sure that we've got diverse, low-carbon, clean energy sources, which the UK already is a world leader on. We've got the Western world's largest installed offshore wind capacity, for example. We've got excellent solar. We are rebuilding our nuclear. I think the public not only are concerned about their short-term energy bills, but also want to make sure the UK has got secure, long-term supplies of energy.
Can we talk about another matter? At the weekend, the Prime Minister suggested he'd look at withdrawing from the ECHR to help tackle illegal immigration. But yesterday, Sir John Major said that would do us, quotes, no favours. Now, the new Vice Chair, Lee Anderson, has been an outspoken advocate of leaving the ECHR. Would that be a vote winner? Would you be comfortable? Would you support that? Chairman.
Well, look, I think we're waiting for the publication of new legislation from the Home Secretary soon on dealing with the boats crisis in the Channel. I'm expecting I'm confident that legislation will be compatible with the ECHR. I think wider issues will have to wait until the publication of the legislation.
OK, but on the point of the ECHR, would you be supportive of that, Mr. Chairman?
Well, look, I think we'll have to wait and see. I'm in terms of the government. Obviously, I'm also a member of the government. I've got collective responsibility with the government. We'll have to see what the Home Secretary brings forward. OK,
a simple yes or no on this one, I sense. Do you agree that anyone earning 30-odd grand a year, which most nurses are, using food banks, they've got something wrong with their own finances? Would you agree or disagree?
Well, I'm not going to, if you like, I think you're asking me to comment on my new deputy, Lee Anderson's views recently. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What I would say is that Lee, I think, is a fantastic asset to the party overall. I'm looking forward to working with him.
Is he right on saying that, Mr. Chairman? Anyone earning 30-odd grand a year, they've got something wrong with their finances using food banks. Well, that is a yes or no.
I'm not going to comment on things that have been said in the past. What I am doing is looking forward as chairman of the Conservative Party to working with Lee, getting the Conservative Party message out going forward. Lee will be a fantastic asset to the party. I think he and I will work together really well. That's what motivates me.
Just lastly on Mr. Anderson, the new Vice Chairman, someone who said that, someone who's also said it's possible to cook a meal from scratch for 30p a day, and someone who also suggested that nuisance tenants, should live in tents in the middle of a field and be woken up at 6 a.m. to pick potatoes. How are those views an asset to the Conservative Party? Do explain.
Well, look, I think
you obviously concur with those. I take it from that you concur with those views, waking people up at 6 a.m. to go and pick potatoes.
I haven't studied every single pronouncement made by Conservative backbenchers or any other backbenchers.
He's not a backbencher, is he, sir? He's the Vice Chairman.
He's not even, no, he's now the Deputy Chairman of the Conservative Party.
Yep.
But in terms of things that may or may not have been said in the past, I don't have encyclopedic knowledge of what everybody has ever said in the past. What I am saying looking forward is that I think he and I will be a good team. We've got other deputy chairmen.
Lastly, on this point, I'm not asking for everything, Mr. Chairman. I'm asking cooking a meal from scratch for 30p a day, nuisance tenants being made to live in tents and get up at 6 a.m, and nurses on 30-odd grand not even being able to budget properly. Just those views. Presumably his promotion shows that this is in line with the Conservative Party of today. I mean, you wouldn't promote someone otherwise, would you?
Well, what I'm looking for my deputy, and indeed all of my deputies and vice chairman, is to get on the front foot, put across the views of the Conservative Party, back up Rishi Sunak, our brilliant Prime Minister, the whole of the team, and to be a team player going forward. We've got important local elections. We've got a general election next year. That is the priorities, is looking forward for this great party.
All right, lastly, I hope you won't deem this question too cheeky, but can I ask you, in the light of what occurred with your predecessor, would you consider publishing your tax return?
Well, look, I'm fully up to date, Nick, with all of my taxes.
As am I. But I'm not chairman of the Conservative Party. And, of course, there was a degree of pressure, rightly or wrongly, on your predecessor. Would you consider doing that, Mr. Hands?
Well, look, in terms of where I am, is I'm totally confident, happy about my tax situation. I've done all my returns. I'm fully up to date. That is where I am, and that is where I'm happy to be.
But you wouldn't publish it? You don't believe in senior politicians such as yourself, almost by having to a routine procedure, publish tax returns, lastly, Mr. Chairman?
Well, I mean, to be honest, Nick, I don't know. But what I do know is that I am fully up to date with my taxes. I've never been investigated or subject to any penalty by HMRC.
I'm grateful for your time. And again, congratulations on the post. Interesting 18, 20 months, whatever it might be ahead. For Greg Hands, who's chairman of the Conservative Party. It's 1 minute after 8 LBC headlines.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.